The views expressed on the following broadcasts do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guest. Take 12 Radio and KHLT Recovery Broadcasting are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship.
This is the place. Have a laugh and save your soul. This is the place. Don't have to pledge allegiance or stand in line. No ticket to buy, no paper to sign. You found it. This is the place.
That's right, my friends. This is the place. Welcome to the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show, the world's original recovery talk and positive music radio station, broadcasting to you from the studios of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting on the beautiful outskirts of downtown Albany, Oregon, at take12radio.com on your internet dial.
Just don't drink, walk if you're ready. This is the place.
All right, get ready.
This is the place where I wear no mask.
That's
I am
right.
who I am, not part of the past. Get a little taste of saving grace. Welcome to the human race. Come on in.
Have a seat.
This is the place.
Well, it's good to have you with us. Welcome to another fine episode of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show. If you're watching on YouTube, that little thing on my head there, that's my gnome dome, or my dome gnome, or whatever, which was gifted to me by our guests this week, Faustino and Kristen. We're going to be talking to them as they share their experience, strength, and hope, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like today. But first, before we do any of that, our email address is take12radio@comcast.net. And if you'd like to comment on the show and you are a subscriber on YouTube, you can comment on the comment section. If you're a subscriber on Podomatic, you can do the same. And, of course, all of our shows are downloadable for fun and for free on all major podcasting platforms. Simply type in Take 12 Recovery Radio, and there you go. If you're confused about that and then you're a little internet challenge, simply go to take12radio.com, and that's our website, and there you will find all of our shows, all of our archives, all of our 12-step recovery workshops, recovery music galore, and just a whole bunch of stuff. But before we do anything, before we go any further, I just want to introduce you. And if you're watching on YouTube, there they are right there. There's Kristen and there's Faustino. Hey guys.
Hey.
It's good to have you on the show. You guys are looking good.
Thank you. I like your hat.
Yeah, you like the hat?
Yep.
Yeah. One more time. See,
For the people in the back.
Yeah. Hello. Hello. No? Okay. All right. Well, it is getting a little warm, so we will... my hair's all... Gotta look pretty for the camera, right?
Looks good.
All right. Folks, Faustino and Christian, they well, I don't know if we call them newlyweds anymore, but you guys got married when?
In May. Yeah. End of May the 28th.
Yeah. So, wow, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and you are both in recovery ministry, true?
Yes.
Yeah, Faustino, what do you do?
So I am a student life coordinator. What I do is I coordinate with students' family, as well as if anyone's having any court issues, I kind of correspond with the POs or attorneys, whatever it may be. I give updates monthly on our students of what's going on, how they're doing in their recovery, and I just kind of go to bat for them as best I can.
Yeah, and this is for the Adult and Teen Challenge residential program, 1-year residential program,
Yes, yeah.
right? And Kristen, what do you do?
So I am the education coordinator. I'm a
Woohoo!
Monty protege.
Aww.
But what I do, so our center specifically is for women with children.
Yeah.
And so I create the atmosphere, right?
Yeah.
So that these women can encounter Jesus and find healing and really discover who they are in Christ.
So the majority of people that come into both programs, the men's program and the women's program, usually, except for rare occasions, are dealing with substance use disorder, right?
Yeah.
For the most part. But you guys do work with folks that deal with other life-controlling issues, right? We've seen folks come in that are dealing with pornography issues, right? Sexual dysfunction, eating disorders, financial disorders. I mean, anything that's life-controlling. But all those are symptoms of a deeper issue.
Yes.
And the deeper issue, according to the Ministry of Adult and Teen Challenge, is that we have a God-shaped hole and we're trying to fill it with everything else but God, and then that leads to symptoms that are very destructive.
Yes.
Would that be a good way to put it?
Agreed.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into your guys' personal story, we like to do a little thing around here where I get an opportunity to complain about things.
And now it's time for the Monty Man's Weekly Whine. Because he always has something to whine about.
Stop crying.
That's right. This is the part of the show where I get to complain about something I'm absolutely powerless over, but it makes me feel good to whimper and whine. Have you noticed? I mean, I think you would have to be living in a cave if you haven't noticed this, but food items, prepackaged food items, i.e. candy bars, cookies, things like that, have shrunk. Right? I mean, you know, the big hunk isn't big anymore. You know, the baby Ruth, it's not even a baby. It's not even born. I think it's so small. But the world's number one cookie. You have any idea what the number one cookie is sold worldwide? Number one?
Well, it's got to be a chocolate chip, right?
No.
Are we going brand here?
Brand, yeah.
Grandma's.
Nope.
Oh, Oreo.
Oreo. That's correct.
Ooh.
Yeah, Oreo cookies. Well,
How do you eat your Oreo cookie?
how do you eat your Oreo cookie? Faustino?
I just throw it in my mouth.
You just throw the whole thing,
Yeah,
right?
throw the whole thing in your mouth.
How do you eat yours, Kristen?
Well, you have to take it apart, but very strategically so that the icing is on one side.
You got to kind
And
of
then
twist it, or
Twist it,
Yeah.
and then you have to toss that bare cookie because nobody likes it. And then you eat the icing, and then you toss the other part.
Well, the Oreo cookie is actually owned by Mondelza International, which owns Nabisco. Nabisco actually stands for National Biscuit Company. NA is the National, BIS is Biscuit, and NCO is Biscuit Company. A little piece of trivia for you. And that cookie was developed in 1912. 1912. Now, the creators of the Oreo cookie claim that it is not shrunk, but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I saved one for the show. I forgot to bring it in the studio, but it has gotten smaller. But what is really upsetting to me is the stuff in the middle. You can barely see it. I mean, it is just not there,
Yeah.
right?
100%.
You gotta buy the double stuff to get the original amount that was in there. Now they have one called Mega Stuff, which is way too much. You know, and you know what that stuff is in there, basically?
Huh.
Whipped animal fat.
Oh,
Oh,
my
don't
God.
tell me
Yeah. Well, that's what Crisco is. You know, that's how they make icing at Costco and stuff like that. They just throw powdered sugar in there and some vanilla and,
Come on, man.
Yeah, whipped animal fat, baby. Same thing styrofoam cups are made out of.
That's
Oh
pretty
my
disgusting.
word.
Yeah, so next time you have a styrofoam cup and you put a hot beverage in it, especially coffee, you'll see there's like an oily kind of substance on top. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
There's your whipped
Monty.
animal fat. Didn't I just make your day?
I'm gonna leave this place a different person.
I know, right? Well, I am disturbed at how these cookies have gotten so much smaller, and the icing in the middle. I don't care if it's whipped animal fat or not. I like that stuff. it is yummy, and two things I do not appreciate. Don't mess with my Oreo cookie, and don't mess with my breakfast meat.
Yeah.
I've complained about that before on this show. Who gives 3 links? It's 4 links, people.
Yeah.
4 links for breakfast at a restaurant. Elmer's. Not 3. Not everybody that goes to Elmer's is a retired 80-year-old. Come on. So that's my wine.
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I
do you?
agree.
100% I agree with you. There's sometimes where I look at an Oreo cookie and I wonder if it even has stuff in the middle at all.
I'm telling you, man. It's very
Well,
disturbing.
What about the Oreo Thins? Have you seen those?
Oh, my God.
So those are like, don't even get you started.
No.
Yeah.
No, you got to do the Pringles thing with them. You got to get a stack of like about that big, right? And then you put the whole
Yeah.
thing in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's there's the weekly wine, but we got something else we're going to do today. And now,
it's the quiz of the week.
that's right.
That's right, everybody. It's time for Take 12 Radio's Quiz of the Week. Now, here's the Muncie Man.
So whenever we have special guests on, we like to try to stump them with something that has to do with their profession or hobbies they like, etc. Well, in this case, because both of my guests work for the Ministry of Adult and Teen Challenge Recovery Program, we're going to do a little Teen Challenge trivia. Now, if you get it right, you get that. If you get it wrong, you get the
Perfect.
fluff machine. All right. These aren't that hard, maybe.
Okay.
We'll see. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Kristen, you get to go first. Guess first, and then Faustino.
Okay.
According to Teen Challenge USA, how many adult and teen challenge centers are there in the U.S. alone? Here's your choices. A, 189, B, 200, or C, over 200.
C, over 200.
What do you say, Faustino?
Yeah, it's over 200.
You would be correct. There are over 200 adult and teen challenge residential programs throughout the United States. And any guess on how many worldwide?
Over 1,000.
Over 1,000.
Yeah.
You've been on the website.
No, she actually looked up some facts for us yesterday.
Okay. All right. All right. So good on you guys. All right. This faith-based nonprofit recovery program's headquarters are located in what city? Springfield, Missouri, Ozark, Missouri, or Ottumwa, Iowa? Faustino.
Oh, man. Teen Challenge Misery, huh? What are the options one more time, Monty?
Springfield, Missouri, Ozark, Missouri, or Ottumwa, Iowa?
I'm going to say Ozark just because it sounds cool.
Okay. What do you say, Kristen?
Oh, gosh. I want to say Ozark, too.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. It's Springfield. What?
Final answer?
I'm going to say Ozark. I'm sticking with it.
Stick to it? Okay, yeah.
You gonna go
stick
Ozark,
to it.
too?
Yeah.
You guys would be correct.
Oh,
It
God.
is Ozark.
Good.
Springfield is the headquarters for the Assemblies of God,
Okay.
which some people get confused because of the association with the Assemblies of God and Teen Challenge.
That's cool to know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, here's number 3. How many boys were on trial for murder when Pastor David Wilkerson made a seemingly bizarre step from his country pulpit in 1958 to the streets of New York City? Was it A, 5, B, 7, or C, 12? What do you say, Kristen?
Oh, I want to say it was 5.
5 boys on trial for murder? What do you say, Faustino?
I would say 5. Oh, no.
Oh.
Sorry.
It was 7.
It was 7.
Oh.
Yeah,
Gosh.
it was 7.
We got too confident.
All right, only 2 more here. Pastor Wilkerson went to the murder trial of those 7 boys but was escorted from the courtroom after being denied access to the boys. The next day, his photo appeared in what newspaper? Was it the New York Daily News? Was it the New York Times? Or was it the New Yorker? What do you say, Faustino?
I want to say the New Yorker.
Okay. Kristen?
No, I think it was the New York Daily Times. Was that an option?
New York Daily News, the New York Times, or the New Yorker?
New York Times.
New York Times? You would both be incorrect. Sorry.
Well, this is just embarrassing.
It was
We're 50-50 right now, Monty. We're doing all right.
It was the New York Daily News.
Okay.
Yes.
Ooh.
All right. Now, this one is not multiple choice, and you better get this right.
Oh, gosh.
In 1938, Nicky Cruz was born in the countryside of Puerto Rico. He was brought up in a spiritual nightmare of witchcraft and brutality. So when he hit the streets of New York in 1958, he was a hardened man, void of love and full of hate. As a teen, he found a conduit for that hate. Seduced by the power of gangs, he joined for his own protection and a sense of identity. Nicky quickly demonstrated his ruthlessness and leadership and rose to be the leader of a renowned street gang. What was the name of the gang? Kristen?
Oh, my gosh. Do you know? I think it was like the Mau Maus or something like that.
You say the Mau Maus?
Yeah, something
Ooh,
like that.
Mau Mau.
I'll go with her. I'll trust her.
You guys are correct.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the Mau Maus. Very good.
Because it sounds like a cat.
Yeah.
I know.
yeah.
I know.
That's the only reason why I should
It's
die.
like, what a wimpy name for a gang, right?
Yeah.
The Meow Meows.
Yeah,
the
meow.
Meow Meows.
Oh.
All right, well, that does it for Take 12 Trivia for this show. Not too bad, guys. Yeah.
We're above 50%.
That last answer kind of like gave me a little bit of my confidence.
There
back,
you go.
So
Good.
There
we're
you
in
go.
it.
All right. Well, that does it for the little trivia game there. We'll be back. Don't go away. Check this out.
You're listening to the world's original recovery talk and positive music radio program, the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show on KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
When I got back from Iraq, I just couldn't shake the guilt that I came home and 34 other men did not. There isn't a drink or a drug out there that can touch that kind of pain. Believe me, I tried. But when I heard a Teen Challenge story on the radio, I finally decided to get help. This program did for me what nothing else seemed to be able to do. It gave me hope. Now I can finally move on and live my life in a way that honors those who lost theirs.
To locate a Teen Challenge Center near you or for more information, visit teenchallengeusa.com.
Hey there, this is Pastor Sean Silveri from the Oregon Ministry Network of the Assemblies of God, and you are listening to the recovery talk and positive music of Take 12 Recovery Radio.
A little bluesy jazz there. One of my favorite groups, Kelly's Lot. We're going to be hearing from Kelly at the end of the show with our closing song, or her closing song, Yes to Life, when we close out the show today. But on the show as my special guest are two folks that I have a ton of respect for that work in a ministry that I too work in, the Adult and Teen Challenge Recovery Ministry, which is a 1-year residential program. When I say we, I'm talking about worldwide. As you heard in the trivia game, over 1,000 centers worldwide. I think the leading faith-based programs like this would be Victory Outreach, Salvation Army, and then leading the charge is the Adult and Teen Challenge program, surpassing those some years ago. And so it is an honor to work for that organization, as I'm sure that these two would tell you as well. Getting to watch the lives change in people that were once hopelessly addicted to life-controlling issues, where the tail was wagging the dog instead of the other way around. And so they're here. They are both graduates of Adult and Teen Challenge, as I am. And I wanted to welcome them aboard to kind of share their story of what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. So, Kristen, I'm going to start with you. You both are sitting here looking, real healthy, and you got sparkle in your eye and a smile on your face. You're working in a recovery ministry, which is, it's not easy. It is extremely stressful, extremely stretching, but that's what it is when you're working with people with life-controlling issues, where there seems to be no light at the end of the tunnel at times, right? And then, bam, something happens to one of them, and God removes the obsession for the addiction, and there's healing, and it's an amazing thing, right? You went through some of that. Right?
Yes.
So you're sitting here now, like I said, with a sparkle in your eye, but it wasn't always that way. What was going on for you back before you really got well?
Yeah. So I think like the main thing that I struggle with, the lie that I believed, was that I wasn't enough. So at an early age, like when say like my family got divorced, right? I instantly was like, okay, well, I'm not enough. Like, mom's not around, dad got remarried, and that kind of just like put that lie, it instilled it in my head. And then I was bullied in school, and just wasn't ever secure in like who God created me to be. And so then I started using meth at a really young age, at like 14.
Was that the first substance you started with?
I think like probably like smoked a cigarette and drank alcohol like once or twice, but I'm an all or nothing kind of person. And so I just dived right in. And there I found the acceptance, right? It's a typical story. As long as I had drugs, people wanted to be around me. I was more comfortable in my skin. Yeah. And I was always just trying to prove myself. Right. So then came all the illegal activities, doing all the things that mom told me not to do. And I had my older brother and sister who were in their addiction. So I was able to just kind of like skirt under the radar because mom was preoccupied with them. And then growing up, I was just rebellious. I was a heathen. I really felt like I was untouchable. And then when I was 17, I started using heroin, and that is what really got a hold of me. And I would do anything, right? It didn't matter. And so all my morals, all my values out the door.
No moral compass.
Nope. Absolutely not. Yeah. And again, like I'm trying to prove to people who I am. I'm the biggest, I'm the baddest. I'll do whatever the men won't do, and I just had this false confidence in myself. And as soon as I turned 18, I started, I was just in and out of incarcerations. That's all it was. It was go in, do my time, get out, go back to the same abusive relationship. And it was just my cycle. And then I remember there was just a point where, like, after so many events, right, that you would think would be those eye-opening things, like the death of my best friend and just some of the abuse that, like, led me to the hospital and stuff. And I just continued. I was just stuck in it, right?
Right.
And then I had this moment where I was convinced that I was going to die, and God met me in that moment, and I came to in a jail cell, and I just knew that something was different. Of course, I still battled with the back and forth, like, can I even do this? I believed that that I was just doomed, right? Like I had dug my grave and now I have to lay in it. But I started going to AA and Celebrate Recovery when I was on the inside, and I chopped it up as long as it got me out of my cell, right?
Oh yeah.
And so that's what I believed at first, but I know that God had a plan for me. So and the ladies there, they were so loving. They told me, your past doesn't define you. You're loved. You can be forgiven. And those are all things that nobody nobody like in my family or on the outside was telling me, right? Like they're like, you're kind of doomed. Like you've really like made a mess of your life. And so I pretty much like I looked up to these ladies. I'm like, whatever you're selling, I'm buying, right? Yeah. And then I knew that I needed to get help, and there was still a little bit of fight in me. And so I agreed to go to Teen Challenge after years of being like, I would never go to year long. It was my first ever treatment facility, you know. I'm like, I'm not gonna waste your time, my time. I'm not ready. But finally I was like, okay, I'll try it out. I'll go to Teen Challenge. I need a year. It's the least I can do for myself, because I spent the majority of my life doing nothing good. Right. And so as soon as I walked in through the doors of Teen Challenge, I knew that I was home. Like it was just that sense of like, I'm loved and I'm accepted for who I am. And the person who walked in through Teen Challenge, through those doors, was like in all regards a monster, you know, like I had created something that was not good. Right. And so I remember when I fully gave my life over to Christ, and something just clicked. Like it was one of those stories where it was like just a 180. Like I had compassion, and I just like set my eyes on him and just went for it. It was that full surrender, just like, we're just gonna do this. Yeah. Now here I am. Like, of course I've had, you know, what I think my life would look like, all of that, but God always has different plans. And now, if you would have asked me when I was in my internship, like, what's the one job that you would want, right? I would always tell people education coordinator, but I never seen that possible. God answered that. Right. But he just took like a wreck of a person and made it beautiful. You know, like once you encounter Jesus, you're changed forever. And so, and I'm just living proof of that. Yeah. But I am extremely grateful. Of course, you know, he gave me this amazing man, and I think we're quite the force to be reckoned with. We both love Jesus and love people. So, yeah.
There are people that listen to this show on a regular basis who do not claim Jesus Christ as their God or their higher power, if you will, for lack of a better term. Yeah. That still listen to this show. Yeah. Regardless. I am so grateful for them. Yeah. Because well, one of the things that a ministry like this does is it focuses on really what is the core, and I'm going to talk to the 12-steppers here now, really what is the core of the 12-step movement, and that's helping develop a relationship with a power greater than yourself to help you solve your problem. Somewhere along the line, we've lost that a bit. Yeah. In some of our fellowships, some of our recovery fellowships, and the focus seems to be more on the fellowshipping than it does on building a relationship with the Creator. In Adult and Teen Challenge, that is like the main piece, right? That's keeping the main thing. Yeah. Right. What would you say to those that are listening that do not claim Jesus as their higher power or their Lord and Savior? What would be your words of encouragement for them?
I'm just so sweet and simple about it. Like, Jesus is just the answer. I don't know how else to put it. But also, I've never tried to do it without him in the mix, right? Because I think, like, it didn't matter. It didn't, like, the detox, right? The physical detox couldn't stop me watching my family cry, and just, like, there was nothing that was more powerful than my addiction, except for the power of Jesus Christ. So, wow. Yeah.
That's a powerful statement. So the obsession was so strong that it did not conform to reason. And it wasn't going to stop you. None of the stuff that made sense, that was logical, was going to stop you. Yeah. So you needed a power greater than you. Yeah. And it couldn't be a bunch of people. No. Because they weren't greater than you. It couldn't be the ocean. Yeah. As more powerful. as it is than us, right?
Yeah.
It had to be the God who we believe on this radio program, the God who is God.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Fantastic story. We're going to come back to you and find out what got you into actually working for this organization here in a minute. Faustino, what was going on with you, brother?
Oh, man. Well, journey started out as a kid. My mom and dad were involved with gangs, and one thing led to another. My mom finally got out of it, and she had moved us from California over to Washington, up to Washington, and what she believed was getting us out of a situation didn't always pan out to be what she thought. She was just stumbling around. She had 3 kids. She's 18, and she didn't know what she was doing. There's no blame for her in that kind of regard, right?
Right.
So we got over towards Washington, and at probably 9, 10, I started not feeling comfortable with who I was. Just in general, I wasn't comfortable with who I was. I was still trying to search, just as any young kid is, right? But I never found that. The idea of being someone bad as a young kid was good to me. And so then laid the journey of addiction, and I started using. What did I start with? I think it started with pot at the age of 13, and then it just progressed. I hit pills, and when I first tried pills, I remember looking at my friends and saying, "We just screwed up." And from that moment, I knew that it was going to be a long road, but I liked it so much that I wasn't willing to let go of it.
Yeah.
So it continued down this path of just drug addiction and pills, and eventually, I had said I would never do heroin, I would never do meth, and less than a year later, I'm doing both of them. And then I said I would never use IV drugs, and less than a year later, I was doing that. And the journey was long. It was definitely tiring. Looking back, in the moment, it wasn't anything but a thing. People say it's nothing but a thing. So I ended up in a few different situations where I probably could have prevented it, but in the process of trying to make a name for myself, there's a lot of people that end up hearing your name, And so, I had it out for me. I had a few people that wanted me. The cops wanted me. They surrounded me a few times, and I, in my head, I thought I was good, all right, well, I made it, I've arrived, everyone knows who I am. The cops know who I am. They're building a case. They're doing this, and in my head and in my heart, I was like, I made it. That was my idea. That was my ideology. Was I made it, and it turned out I was wrong. After a bit, it's just kind of taxing being on the run for so long. I was on the run for I want to say about a year and a half, and it was continually looking over my shoulder and bouncing from place to place to place, never actually having a place to live. I couldn't have a place to live because if I stopped moving, off to jail we go,
Right.
And I didn't like jail. I wanted to do drugs, so that was my main goal, stay out of jail. After a bit, I finally hit rock bottom. I'd been jumped, and I threw myself out of a car going 40, and I was like, man, this is just too much. And so I was like,
you jumped out of a car?
Yeah. I jumped out of a car, and when I got up, I couldn't see nothing. It was one of those ones where I'm surprised I made it. They slammed on the brakes, they came out, and they kept going. But it was just one of those ones where it was like, dang, I should probably look at what I'm doing right now. So I moved to a different area and started doing drugs there, that was going to solve it. Anyways, finally I ended up going to my cousin's, and I tried to get clean, and I was clean for, I want to say 2 months. Now, clean in my head was not clean at all. So clean in my head was I was still smoking pot, I was still drinking, and I was still using Suboxone. Right? Those three
But you
things.
Considered yourself clean at the time.
100%. I
Isn't
believed
that
the lie.
interesting?
I
Yeah.
believed the lie.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was clean. I was clean for 3 months. And the next thing I knew, it was just one day I met a guy. We started smoking pot, and right back down the rabbit trail I went. You know, I started using cocaine and crack, and met another guy on a job, and back into meth and heroin, and finally it got to the point where I was so out of my mind. I was so out of my mind that I was walking down the street, pulling all of my clothing off because I thought there were speakers and microphones in my clothing. It's called meth-induced psychosis.
Yeah.
So I was at this point where my brain was just gone. My brain was gone. And I kept thinking, I remember thinking, is this ever going to change? Is this ever going to change? Like, did I just smoke myself out? That's, you know, the term is like, did you fry yourself so bad that you're not coming back from this? And so I called my mom, as any wise man would do. I called my mom.
As any wise drug addict would
do.
Yeah.
So I said, Mom, what the hell's going on? You know? and what she told me was, I'll never forget it. What she told me was, Faustino, I told you that there is darkness in this world. It is up to you whether or not you want to be involved with it. And I said, okay. She said, what do you want to do? I said, well, come pick me up. You know, come pick me up. And within 24 hours, I was at her place and right back to where I was, where I had originally started my addiction. And I was walking down the street. I was like, I'm gonna go get high. If I'm gonna get clean, I gotta get high. That was my mindset. And my sister came by, picked me up, and as we were driving back to the house, I had this gut feeling like, oh no, the cops are there. And as we turned the corner, there was like 4 cops sitting in my driveway, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And I said, hey, keep driving. She said, I can't. I said, why? She said, because they're for you, right? So we pull in, and the cops talk to me, and what they were doing was they were trying to talk me off the ledge. And it was the first time in my life that I actually, like, God gave me discernment in that moment. You know, it was the first time in my I actually looked at a cop and saw that there was good intention in his eyes and in his heart. And I trusted it. For whatever reason, I trusted it. So I go to the hospital. He takes me to the hospital, and I was in this room, one of those crazy rooms, you know, where there's no actual doorknobs or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. I love those rooms.
Yeah. It was beautiful. Very clean. So I was in there for about a couple hours, and they sent me off to a detox for a day and a half. When I walked out of the detox, I got a call from my mother saying that someone was going to pick me up. And I said, okay, cool. And I'm sitting outside smoking cigarettes to the point where I'm about to throw up, you know?
Right.
And this Mexican guy comes around the corner. His name is Frank Gomez. He's the director of the Seattle campus.
Seattle campus of Adult and Teen Challenge?
Yeah. And he's on the phone talking to someone, and he's like, I can't find him. And he looks at me, and he looks dead into my eyes, and he said, you know what? I think I just found him. I'll call you later. He hung up, and he introduced himself. Hi, my name is Frank. You know, I work for Teen Challenge. I'm a director. I came out here to pick you up. And there began the journey, you know, the journey of denying myself and picking up my cross. You know, I got there, and at first, man, I was so hard-headed. You know, I was so tough that I didn't want anyone near me. Frank talks about this comparison to us and a caterpillar. There's some caterpillars that have spikes all over them, you know, and it's their defense mechanism. If anything gets too close to them, it pokes them and they go away, right?
Yeah.
And he compared us in our addiction to that. You know, we just don't want anyone around us. You know, we poison everyone that comes around us. But once we cocoon ourselves and give ourselves time to rest, we come out of something beautiful. And I think about that every now and then. And I was like, man, I'm going to really need some time because I ain't got nothing beautiful in me right now, you know?
Right.
So 6 months into my Teen Challenge journey, I blew up. You know, I blew up, and I got into a fight. I was the aggressor, and when I came to, I had 4 guys pulling me off of another guy, and I was getting kicked out. You know, I was getting kicked out, and so I was on my way back to my sister's house for a month. And I remember drugs were literally just down the road. I knew everyone from miles apart. And I had to make the decision. Am I gonna continue in my addiction and just go back to what I know? Or am I gonna do something that I don't know? You know, that question kept resounding. And I was in devotions one day, and when I opened up my Bible, it came across this scripture, and in Matthew it's talking about how Jesus was talking to the disciples, and he had more than just 12 disciples. He had hundreds of disciples, and he said, you have to eat my flesh and drink my blood, right? And so no one understood what that meant. And so all the people around him were like, this fool is crazy. We're out of here, you know? And they took off. And he looked at Simon Peter, right? And he says, what about you? Will you leave me as well? And when I read that, my skin started crawling.
Wow.
You know, it was that moment of the Holy Spirit just touching me and asking me an intimate question. Are you going to leave me as well? You know, I had started something in you. Are you going to leave me? Less than a day later, Frank Gomez called me and said, hey, how are you doing? He continually checked up on me. And he said, I'd like for you to come back, and I'd like for you to intern. And I said, well, all right, you just kicked me out for getting into a fight. You know? And he's like, he's in line with the Spirit. And so he knows God's plans, you know, just like any good leader. He's in line. So I went back and finished out my program. I started the internship, and next thing I know, I'm sitting here before you, married and happy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. God is in the business of restoring. God is in the business of creating anew.
Yeah.
God is in the business of taking what's broken and not just putting a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
Right. But healing it completely, almost as if it was never broken. And we see it all the time, and it blows our minds. It's just a powerful thing. And I think, in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, it talks about the purpose of this book is to help you develop a relationship with a power greater than yourself to help you solve your problem.
Yeah.
If that's not happening in recovery, if you're not developing a relationship with God to help you solve your problem, then you're just simply developing a relationship with your own intellect, and now you've become the creator again, and you're right back where you started.
We don't make good gods, yeah.
We don't make good gods, not even small g gods.
No,
we just don't. So both of your stories just reeks of surrender, right? Of coming to a place of brokenness and contriteness and full surrender. And then it goes further, because not only, Kristen, did you have any concepts or any idea at all when you started this journey that you would end up giving back within this organization to others that were hurting? Did you think for a minute that you'd be doing that?
Absolutely not.
Faustina, what about you?
No, had no idea.
Yeah. And yet, that is a huge part of your continued maintenance of not just your sobriety, but your relationship with God, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Kristen, what happened? Did somebody say, hey, I think you'd make a great educator or whatever? You did an internship, right?
Yeah.
Did somebody just offer you the job, or what was there, like an aha moment, or what?
Well, God is always very intentional, right? So, early on, once I was ready to really listen to what people had to say, I built this really strong bond with the education coordinator that was there before me. And I would just spend hours on her couch, and I just felt like this pull, like I need to get everything I can from you. And she was just an amazing godly woman. And so then in my internship, like I was learning like, who is Kristen, right? What gifts has God given me? Like, how and how can I use them? And one of the apparent gifts was teaching. Like I love to learn, and again, it's that all or nothing mentality, right?
Yeah, right.
God intended it to be for him. And so as I learned who he was, and I would just get like new revelation and knowledge, like I just wanted to share it with people. Like if you would sit down for a second and let me tell you what I just learned in my devos or whatever, like I would always like seize that moment. And so I just really always wanted to in some way be able to share who he was.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then the education coordinator at the time, she was so secure in her position, like she ran it well, and I never in my wildest dreams thought that she would be going anywhere. And so it was like that, like one position that I so badly wanted, but I knew I would never get.
Yeah.
And then right at the end of my internship, like I already knew I'm staying. Like my heart was so set on that center, specifically on serving God. It was like, whatever you want me to do, I'm gonna do it. If it's scrubbing the floors, or if it's just coming out and like serving these women in any capacity, I'll do it. But I really wanted to be at that center. I felt like God was calling me to it. And so then right at the end of my internship, she happened to just be called in a different direction. Mm-hmm. And I was offered that position. I was literally like astounded. And of course, the thoughts of like, can I even do this? Am I equipped? Right. And I had to remind myself, like, God's calling me to it, so he's going to equip me for it.
Yeah, you bet.
And so every day I have to remain humble. I have to realize like there's nothing in and of myself that is doing this. It's all God. And so, yeah.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Now, when we say education coordinator, right? You are teaching what? So the listeners understand.
Yeah, so everything, like, we just address life controlling issues, right? Mm-hmm. But with biblical principles. So it's like, how do I resolve conflict, right? What are biblical attitudes? What are some good godly characteristics I need to start instilling within myself? It's like getting rid of our old, like whatever we created, and then putting back in what was pure and was meant to be there in the first
Getting
place.
rid of our old ideas?
Yeah.
Bringing in new ones? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's excellent. Faustino, so since I've known you, you've moved pretty quickly, right? When you came to our center, you were the one. When I say our center, listener, I'm talking about in Shed, Oregon, what is referred to as the Willamette Valley Men's Campus in Shed, Oregon. We're about an hour and a half south of Portland. When you came from Tri-Cities, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. For the listeners that don't know, that's up where the border, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Explain that. That's up like Pasco and...
Yeah, Pasco is a Tri-Cities. So Tri-Cities, Eastern Washington, Idaho, Oregon border, like right on the corner almost. Yeah. So you had done an internship there? No. Well, actually, half of my internship. I did half my internship in Seattle.
Right.
And then I went to the Tri-Cities, did half my internship there, and I became staff over there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you came to the center in Shed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And as a recovery coach. Mm-hmm. And now you're the student life coordinator.
Yeah.
Right? So you mentioned a little bit about what you do as student life coordinator. That job is very detailed. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're doing everything from medical appointments to talking to POs to, to getting guys in the program that, in everybody else's opinion, shouldn't be in the program or any program. They ought to just be locked up and throw away the key, right? Yeah. That kind of mentality. And bringing them in so they can experience the hope that you've experienced as well. Did you ever think that you would be doing what you're doing? I mean...
As a student life coordinator?
Yeah.
Man, to be honest with you, when I entered Teen Challenge, I saw that position And I said, that is the one position I don't want.
You don't want to do.
Yeah, that was the one position I never wanted to do.
You and I have that in common, yeah.
Yeah, and you know, God's funny in the way he does things. You know, I promised him when I was a student. I promised him 5 years. You know, I'm going to serve you for 5 years, and then I'm going to decide what I'm going to do after that.
Right.
You know? And I never gave him stipulations as to how it looked. You know, so he ran with what he decided. I think this position is exactly what I need to thrive. You know, I enjoy being under pressure. You know, I enjoy learning quickly. I enjoy continually being stretched. If I'm not stretched, I begin to feel stagnant. You know, and so it's exactly the position I need.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk a minute about the both of you. Right. So. You know, there are people with the opinion that you should never take your work home and you should never bring home to work. You can't help but do both. Right now, both of you don't work at the same center, you know, which may be a blessing, right? That you don't work at the same center, but you do live in the same house. I mean, you're a married couple, right? Are there challenges coming home from work? Because this is very stressful work.
You know, I wouldn't say that there's any like challenges. When we first like were dating and stuff, like we both stood on we love God and we love people. So if you keep that as the mindset, right? Like of course you might like have a hard day and go home and want to share it, but we're also just enjoying life, and so you know, like we find that healthy balance of like what is work and then how are we serving God in other areas of our lives as well? Like how else does he want to use us? What do you think?
I think we're good on the work and home life. We not only work for the same ministry, but we work for the same bosses. So
true.
Yeah, so
all three of us do.
Yeah, we're underneath the same leadership. Right. We're underneath the same leadership, and so because of that, we get to see what it looks like to be devoted. You know? And so we know what it looks like. We know how to handle it, and you know, we know the cost. And so we recognize that we can't always be 24/17 challenged because it's not healthy. You know? So we have times where, you know, maybe we'll watch a TV series, or maybe we'll go out on a little adventure, or go do something sporadic, you know.
Good.
And it's healthy. It's healthy, I feel like. At least. Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to do for fun as a couple?
Oh gosh. What do you think?
Anything.
I wouldn't say just one thing.
Yeah.
Like we're like the same person. We're very just sporadic and spontaneous. And so we just come up with these random weird things, and we just like go do it. Yeah. And it's super fun. And of course, you know, we just make it just everything is fun.
Yeah. We never actually have a plan.
Yeah.
We just kind of start driving, and the next thing you know,
that's fun though.
Yeah. Here we are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Cool. One of the things that is amazing about this part of Oregon, and when I say this part, I'm talking about within an hour and a half radius either anyway, are the covered bridges. There's tons of covered bridges in Oregon to go drive around and like on a Sunday and just, you know, check them out.
Go ahead and take note of that.
Yeah, the covered bridges in Oregon are escape rooms. Those are kind of a blast. Ever done one of those?
No, I've never done one.
Oh, you need to do it. That'll challenge your marriage, baby. I'll tell you right now. Do an escape room together.
Trial by fire.
Yeah, well, it demands that you work as a team.
Yeah.
So if you do it with a couple other couples, you know, and then you work as teams to get out of the room, knowing that they will let you out if you don't make it in time. They're fun. My son bought me an escape room experience. It was an Edgar Allan Poe escape room, so it was mystery based and all that stuff. So that's fun stuff to do as a couple too. But no, I mean, the reason I asked is because you guys are basically newly married, and when you work for the same company and the same bosses, and and everything, it can be challenging. But I think the saving grace here is ultimately you work for the same God.
Yeah.
Right? And he's the one who's at the center of your relationship.
Yeah.
So it's God first. Everything else comes after that. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. That is so vitally important. What is the most rewarding thing that you've seen since you've been working at Adult and Teen Challenge in this recovery ministry that you're in, Kristen?
The
so
most
far?
rewarding.
Yeah. What has been like the most exciting, most rewarding?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I don't know if I can choose one. Like, obviously, the moment someone receives Jesus Christ, right? Like, that is always that aha moment when that light comes back to them. And but specifically at our center is like when a mom realizes that she has what it takes to juggle the life of being a mom and like working in their confidence. Like, that is absolutely beautiful, and watching them just really grow and instill good morals and values in their kids. And like, those are times where like when you get to just sit back and watch it all unfold, it's the coolest thing ever. Good. It's a blessing.
Faustino, what about you?
I think it's the knuckleheads for me. I like the knuckleheads, the ones that are super tough to love, the ones that are gonna take a little bit more effort, you know? The ones that the world would categorize as menaces to society. I like them. Yeah, I get to watch them go through all the phases of change. You know, I am tough, I am man. And then the next thing you know, their heart starts opening up a little bit. They get a little bit more vulnerable, and before you know it, they're crying, you know? And to me, I love that. I love that. I like seeing a transformed man come to realize he doesn't have to be tough.
In many cases, these are men and women, right?
Yeah.
That others said they'll never change. Nothing will ever
Don't
change about
try
that guy.
with them. Yeah.
Don't
you're
try with them.
wasting your time.
Yeah. And then we see a transition happen.
Yeah. And it's obviously not us. You know, it's
obviously
Teen Challenge is just a platform. That's all it is. It's a platform to the greater means, you know, and that's Jesus. And so we just provide the space. We just provide the space for them to have an encounter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And truth be known, AA is just a platform. Celebrate Recovery is just a platform. NA is just a platform. Alcoholics for Christ is just a platform. All those are the tools, right? They're not the house. They're just the tools that help build the house. Yeah. The house is Jesus Christ, and what an awesome gift to be smack dab in the middle of this work, helping people to not stay in a state of recovery where they're constantly relapsing and getting sick and coming back and relapsing, although we see that sometimes. Yeah. But that people actually do recover from a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. And they move on and they serve God and they give it away. Just like you guys are doing. Yeah.
Amen.
Thank you, guys. Any closing thoughts? Kristen, you first.
Oh, man. I don't think so.
Have you had a good time?
I had so much fun, Monty.
Cool.
Thank you.
You bet. Faustino, closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. No, I think if you have a story, you should share it. You know, if you don't think your story is going to change anyone, just tell someone and see what happens.
See what happens. Yeah. Good word.
Good.
All right. Well, our closing song, folks, for this show is by Kelly's Lot, the group Kelly's Lot. Kelly Z is the lead singer, a good friend, and Take 12 Recovery Radio contributor. So here's her song, Yes to Life. Here's Kelly.
Say yes to a better life. You can find the way. Give it all the best you got. Day to day, say yes to things ahead. Bring your peace of mind. You deserve the best you got each and every time. Oh, say yes, yes to life. this the place to start? Say yes, oh, and make a choice. Turn your life around. And no one else can do that for you. That's the truth I found. Oh, I say yes. Oh, I say yes. Yes to life. Say yes to life. You may feel weak, but you're stronger than you know. If you reach out for life, that's where you'll go. Oh, where you go. Say yes to a better life. You can't find a way. Well, give it all the best you got, day to day. It's choices that you make, my friend, take you where you go. It's up to you, it's what you do. That's the truth I know. Oh, say yes. Oh, say yes. Oh, say yes. Yes to life. Say yes to life. Say yes to life. Say yes to life. I'm gonna say yes to life. I'm gonna say yes to life. I'm gonna say yes to life. Life, life, life. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Say yes to life. Say yes to life. Yeah. Say yes to
Say yes to a better life. Kelly Z. For more of her great music, check out her website at kellyz.com. Hey, a very special thank you to my guests, Faustino and Kristen, for sharing their experience, their strength, and their hope, because they said yes to a better life. Until our next broadcast, this is the Monty Man, along with the rest of the Take 12 Recovery Radio family, and we are wishing God's perfect serenity for you.
Come on in. Come on in.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
This is the place.
Kitty, 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 kitty. Meow, meow, meow.
Woof, woof.